Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us in this liminal space between Christmas and New Year's.
Both a liminal and a literal space.
A literal space. We're in space.
We're in
I'll bring
space.
I'll
Why
bring
do
us
they
in.
call it space?
There's a lot of it.
I guess it's mostly just that up there, huh?
Yeah. Um
Um,
Hi everyone, I'm Clayton.
I'm Pat.
Um I'm streaming I'm piloting today or captaining uh this game which is called Nebulous Fleet Command. It's one of
I'm
my favorite.
excited to see.
Huh?
I'm excited to see more of this.
Yeah, you were there the day in a meeting when I mentioned that I was playing this game
Yeah.
called Nebulous Space Command, and everyone just started laughing. And it's like, that's the most Clayton-ass name. You made that up. It's a joke, but no, it's
Yeah,
actually a
no,
real
it's not
game.
real.
That's very. Oh no, we got targets on the board. Okay, I gotta start reacting. Let's get a lock on that. Um, no, get a lock. Get a lock.
Lock target.
All right, blow that thing out of the sky. This thing's just walked into my trap.
Is it a ship? What is that?
That's a ship. That looks like an enemy scout vessel. So it's very
Fuck
small.
them.
Ooh, yeah, they're not gonna last too long. Look at those hits. Um, so this is a very kind of technical, real-time strategy game. Very deep mechanics. Very much, I feel like a lot of it is inspired by The Expanse's kind of that TV show and book series sort of views of how space combat might work. I think the person who made it
Hmm.
was also in the Navy, so they definitely
Oh
like
wow.
are bringing in some stuff
In the
like
Navy.
um, from that. I mean, when you have control of one of these ships, I can, and I probably should be doing this, or actually, no, it's this guy over here, the Eileen M. Schumer. I'm going to tell you to start jamming, just in case. So here's my tactical view. You can see some of the stuff I'm doing. This is showing me that these two guys are attacking this guy. That's their target. And I told this guy to jam him. So this big red cone is actually my jammer. And I guess we'll see if in this mode, I can't remember if my enemy ships have jammers of their own, but what that actually ends up looking like is like visual noise. Like there's just a bunch of targets popping in, popping out. It's actually interesting for how the jamming is not just like, your radar stat is lowered. It's visually like cacophony, and you have to be able to parse it yourself,
Hmm.
which I like how it's both it's doing both. I think it is also affecting literally the gameplay, but
And this is like full three
this
axis.
is full
Like
three
a
axis.
lot of these
Yes,
space sims that like naval space sims that I look at simplify it by putting it on a flat plane. This is
exactly.
not doing that.
No, I have my guys not just in 3D right now. So what's happening here is there's a huge asteroid that's kind of this level, and I am defending this facility.
Mhm.
So instead of being right next to it, being out in the open, I actually told my guys to kind of stick real close to this asteroid, so as they came over the top, they couldn't see me. And then I stuck
Mhm.
my scout ship over here. And what I've actually done is I've told all these ships to take a certain kind of path, and that's the orbit path. So they're all
Mhm.
doing a little orbit because I didn't want them sitting still. I wanted them to be a little bit harder to potentially target than that. Oh, okay, we've got this guy. He's dropping pods. He is out of commission. So
Is it a war crime for you to shoot those pods?
it's actually, God, I don't want to do it, but I don't know if you're hearing this, Pat, but maybe the people on stream. This has the typical RTS thing. When you click it, you hear a person like receiving,
Yeah, yeah.
and you
Yep, I
say
hear
like,
that. Yep.
yeah, and when you hear them like you target someone, they're like fire, fire. If you do this on one of these pads, you get a voice line that's
Mhm.
like, "Do you know what you're doing?" He's like, "Do you realize what you're saying?" Like, I can just cancel it. I'll bet if I do it. But here's what happens if you try to commit a war crime.
I think my headset's faulty. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, they don't want to
Oh,
do it.
good.
Command, I
Good.
recommend against this.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow their lead. So there's no need to do that. What I actually really need to be doing is getting away from that ship I just destroyed. It could potentially ignite
Ooh.
because I heard it so
Reactor
bad.
meltdown.
A reactor meltdown. So I'm gonna get out of here. So this is the jamming. Sorry, I was mentioning that. So somebody is jamming me, and they're just filling my screen with targets. It's frustrating. You have to get around it. One way you can get around it,
Mhm.
and I think this is a thing that again comes from what people actually do in naval warfare with radar, it's called burn through sweep. It's like, as I understand it, it's kind of like I've just put all my settings on max for a couple seconds to just like clear the noise. It actually looks like what happened is there's jammer ran out of power. They cannot run you can't run a thing like a jammer constantly. Again, this game always says like an unless you turn on battle short down here, and that overrides equipment safeties, and then they could start operating constantly, but then they'll start to break down.
That's so fun.
Okay,
Shit, this rules.
I need to
Chat
lock
room's
on.
asking for a little more game audio.
Sure, I'll try to boost that up. Okay, this guy's just sitting there, like, yeah, he's not gonna last long. But I think over here, I think this is an actual track. Yep, that's their battleship. Okay.
Oh, here it comes.
That's a big boy.
Big lad. And now this is the game that you were telling us about, where like you also like you can manually control the roll of your ships because you have batteries on various sides of the ships, and like it won't like automatically like if okay.
Positioning is super important. This guy actually did it automatically when I told him to target something above himself. He rolled to make it so his top and bottom cannons could aim and shoot that ship.
Oh, cool.
But if I wanted to tell him to roll myself, I can just do a little roll that way. I'm going to clear that. So I want to just take this guy off the board because he's their scout, but I'm pretty sure he also is what's jamming me. So I just want to get rid of that before. But maybe I'll just tell this guy to start pounding him. Ooh, and actually, this is a big ship. I need to use the armor-piercing shells first. High explosive shells are more damaging to internal components, but they cannot get through much armor at all. So it can help to literally like attack first, wound the enemy vessel's armor, and then start attacking. Now this is not good. I'm not moving. Let's get a cruise vector going here. I'm panicking. Okay, just get moving. I was just sitting there for a sec, which is bad. Because this guy's got a railgun. He is a big old battleship.
What is a railgun? Like, what is the agreed upon thing that a railgun is?
It's here, and I think it makes sense. You can even kind of track this from how it's treated in the Expanse. It's extremely long range. It's the longest range weapon in this game besides missiles, which he is trying to use, but my flak is taking care of that, no problem. I'll get to. I don't have missiles in this level. Once I win this, I'll play one where I have missiles and can show how that works, because it's also sick. Okay, that guy is also ejecting lifeboats, so I think it's safe to say he is open. So yeah, oof, those, you can see that railgun going straight through that ship sometime.
Ooh, yeah.
So it's also, in this game, it's considered armor piercing. So again, it doesn't do a ton of damage to internal components. We're not going to do splash damage, as it were, like a high explosive round.
It's just cutting right through you.
Cutting right through you, does open some wounds and can go very distant, and it's also supposed to be more accurate, but that can also, accuracy is determined by a lot of things in this game.
Titus Graham in chat says using magnets to propel a slug very, very fast. Okay.
So that's the yes, that's the scientific thing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell this guy to go in a cruise heading. That means he's just going to continue in that direction forever until I tell him not to.
Okay.
I'm going to get this guy also cruising. We're going to get into what I call the dance part of the waltz, I guess, of a battle in this game, where we're both out in the open. There's no hiding anymore, and we just kind of like twirl around each other trying to get the best bearing. And I'm not approaching this guy very well. I'm giving him a wide target, which is not great. I'm going to try to actually move alongside him instead of towards him.
This is very cool. What's so you said that like individual systems can go down on your ship.
Yeah, I was about to go to that because he's taking a beating. You can actually see what's going on my ship with this mode. For one, as you build, and I can go into this. You build these ships. I can actually decide what components I want in a frame, or a a hull. And in Navy, they could call them hulls. So something you might want to build, and you need to have a couple on your ship, are DC lockers, to damage control lockers. Unfortunately, this one's destroyed, but all of these guys are coming from, they're my repair teams, are coming from a damage control locker somewhere on the ship, which again, physically located on the ship. They have to move to different systems and physically repair them, which takes time. If they're completely destroyed, you might be able to replace them, but you actually, like typically a ship like this one, I think, maybe only have 3 replacement parts, and I have to decide judiciously like where I use them. Also, the DC locker containing that replacement part can be destroyed, and then I don't get to use it.
So sad.
So it's all very systemic. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I should
That's so cool.
I should be jamming this guy. I forgot. So I have not played this online. I understand it's very fun to do that. I've been playing single player where I can rely on the fact that I can do a time slow if I just need to give like a bunch of orders at once, but I'm trying to learn not to do that so I can give the online mode a shot.
God, this is so cool.
So yeah, we are just pounding this guy, but he is the biggest, burliest kind of ship. You can see him. He's venting air. He's wounded.
That's cool. So can you, I know that you can hit individual systems. Can you target individual systems, or
So-
do you need to like know where they are on the ship?
Yeah, that is the thing you don't really get to do, besides like you can position yourself knowing that, like, you know, you could probably hit these guns a lot easier from the top than from the side, or this missile battery here. Like, that's the sort of thing you can sort of
Gotcha.
target. I think there might be something going on with, like, because there's some stuff with, like, you can have a analysis annex as one of the little like things inside your ship that can improve your targeting, and I think that might make it so you just tend to target systems better, but I'm not positive.
Ah, I see. Okay, cool. I think the closest thing I've played to this is High Fleet, which the combat is a lot more arcadey, but like the ship compositions are still very similar. You can also build ships in that, I guess.
Oh man.
But like, there are also like, for that one, for a lot of like the archetypal ships, you can just like look up guides to where all their components are, so then you can like know when you're in a battle with one to like, oh, like, okay, I want to get over its right shoulder right now and like shoot an armor piercing round down into this area, so I'll hit its engine and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
see.
fun.
Yes, I played that one, and it's definitely has some of the similar kind of like. I feel like it's capturing a bit more of the just chaos. Oh, so this is a thing you would definitely use more in online, because I was sort of like, what is the point of this for a sec? So hook track, that every ship gets this little, or enemy ship gets this little 4-digit number, which I can just type in to take me directly to it. Like, I'm already looking at it. But if you were in a big online game with somebody on the other side and they're just like, I need you to get track 4486, like, it just takes you right to it.
Oh, that's so fun. Wait, so this you can do like co-op?
Oh yeah, this
multiplayer.
is the whole thing about this is that's how you get fleets, because again, if you're trying to play this online in real time, you don't want to have more than like 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5 like smaller ships of your own to control. So you do fleet engagements with lots of people controlling their own little parts of the main fleet.
Cool.
Try to coordinate, and you know, if once I get more into missile stuff, you'll see there's stuff about like luring people. I mean, you can get stuff that like increases your radar signature so you look like a bigger ship. Which means you could do a thing where you try to lure them in or scare them away with a tiny ship that just looks from a distance like a big baddie. So I think I need to do the thing where I just get in here. Let's get the jammer going again. So the Cassandra, really taking a beating, didn't have any of its main engines functional, but I'm telling it to restore one, and we're getting a bit more engine power. But I'm running out of restores. I think I do set up some of these matches where I'm pretty sure I have the better kit, but I don't know. This guy's shooting, I feel like, a lot slower, so I think I'm probably wounding him. He does have a better paint job. I think somebody said that.
Yeah, he's got the Wildberry Pop-Tart paint job.
Yeah.
Ooh, that reminds me. I got, so for Crimbo, I got some like Scottish like berry spiced mince cakes. It's not mince meat. It's just like a berry jam with some spices in there, and you pop those bad boys in the oven for
Ooh.
like 10 minutes, and they're so good. It's just like the best Pop-Tart you've ever had, except in pie
Yeah,
form,
that
tiny
sounds
pie form.
Tiny pie. That sounds fucking great. I picked up these a couple months ago. I was in Vermont. And I picked up these maple candies for my family that we had.
Maple candy's so good.
So I was wondering if that was something you'd encounter. Do you just like kind of let them melt in your mouth, right? You don't try to like
yeah,
crunch down on
yeah,
them.
I
That was the
would
thing. They
not.
were like, at first they're like, these are kind of hard.
They do. I forget exactly what you called them. Maybe like maple laces, maple snow candy. It's a thing that at like Maple Days. So all the maple farms in Maine will like have a couple of like big days where they want everybody to come out and do a bunch of maple activities. And one of the things that they do is they just take like fresh maple right out of the hot ass carafe, and they just drizzle it in like a little pattern on some snow, and then it instantly sort of turns into like a maple gummy.
Oh wow.
And you can chew that a little bit. That'll like just melt in your mouth right away too, but that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd heard of the snow thing. And it's also like all the maple gets like harvested in a couple weeks, right? It's kind of a short harvest season.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
All right, we did it. And now it's going to give me the
Nice.
battle report. He's still moving, but this just means he was probably, what's it called? No offensive capability at 1724. So you can have a ship that has like no uses, but can still technically fly, but it just has no guns, no capability. You can even your CIC, your command central, can be eliminated, and if you don't have an extra one, which sometimes in a big ship you might have a redundant CIC, or even just there's a little component called it's like auxiliary steering, which means it's so good, the nuance in this. If you don't have anything and your CIC is destroyed, you lose command of the ship, which means it's not technically eliminated. Maybe the people on board can still repair it, but you can no longer give it orders. It may still continue doing the order it was last given. But if you have steering, you can still steer the ship without the CIC, but you can no longer, as far as I understand, you can no longer take in information from other ships, which is a whole other thing. If my ship over here has a lock on something, it will communicate to the other ships. They don't have to get a lock on it. They can just share the lock the one ship has. So there's like battlefield information. That's something else you can like jam and make it hard for ships to communicate. So there's like two different kind of jamming. There's just so much little nuances to this game. It's wild. So
God, I love jamming and I hate being jammed.
yeah. I'm going to load this other one where I kind of pulled off a trick. And this will also give you a chance to see something that I only discovered recently, which was mods that included a bunch more ship designs. So this is two fleets that don't use the generic ship designs in this game. So this is another one where I'm attacking the facility instead of defending it. I saved this game where I knew, based on some like scouting, that the enemy vessels are over here. You can actually, I'm not sure if this is a glitch, but for some reason you can see one of them at a distance. I don't know if just because I spotted him.
Yeah.
Once this guy enters this sphere, it's going to say, I'm starting to capture the facility.
Okay.
This AI is going to realize, oh shit, I went way too far away from the thing I'm supposed to be defending. Yeah, there we go. Okay. They're going to turn around and head right back down this little alleyway.
Yeah.
When that happens, we're going to pop out. And we're gonna hit him with a huge missile barrage. That's my plan. I'm gonna try it.
Nice. All right.
This is a little tricky,
cool.
but
so a couple space nerd things. Here's a question. Blade of Creation asks: is battlefield information limited by light speed? I think I'm gonna venture a guess, Clayton, and then you're gonna hop in here after me.
Yep.
I don't think the engagements in this game probably involve that much distance. And
yeah, that's exactly it.
Judging by how close these space rocks are to one another, like they're taking a lot of liberties with the way space works to make it a more parsable and fun tactical space game.
Yeah, there's some stuff that feels so much like they're trying to do very much accurate representation of space, combat, and 3 dimensions. Something that I was a little surprised by is that you don't have I guess, infinite inertia, or it's not space. Like, you will continue moving even after engines are off. I wish there was a thing where you could do cold running. Like, that's a thing I feel like happens in sci-fi things where it's like, engines on max, now turn them off. We just keep moving in the same direction, but we're silent. Our scanning signature's way smaller. And that feels like something this game could have incorporated, but I bet for whatever reason it was just too much complexity to add. So ships do slowly slow down. It's more, again, like they're boats. So they will move and they have inertia. They don't stop on a dime, but they don't continue forever.
Interesting. Yeah. Because, yeah, that's like in space, Clayton. Also, you would never see like rocks this close together, right? Like,
I don't think that's necessarily not true. Sometimes
really?
Asteroids are a bit like just a floating. They kind of, their gravity keeps them close enough to each other, but it's yeah. I think you could find something like this. Okay, shit. Can they see me? Okay, let's... I want to try to time this.
Ooh, a Trilobite asks, or not, doesn't ask, but name drops a book here, and I wonder if you've read it. Children of a Dead Earth?
I have
or is
not...
that a book or a game?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Trilobite says it's little cylinder ships throwing flechettes at each other from millions of miles away.
I mean, yeah, there's series I've read that do...
It's a game, okay.
Okay. The yeah, the tricky thing, like the Expanse does it. The Expanse has the thing where like ships can turn off their engine, continue moving, and effectively hide that way, which I think is cool, and I wish they did have in this. But there's enough granularity in this that you still have so much sort of possibilities. It's not limited. Okay, so yeah, I think they're still moving. I think they're cautious because I was peeking out a bit too much, and I think they saw me. But
Yuki.
I really want to get a big missile barrage. So let's try this. No, let's jam them.
We're ready when you are, Commander. We're on our way. Buzzers are online.
I love the little radio chirps and crackles.
Buzzers are online, Commander.
It's very good. That is a small touch, but I immediately knew they had the same idea. Okay, so let's get ourselves... Let's cruise.
Space question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were on a spaceship, I know that there's no sound in space itself, but like if you're on a big ass space vessel, would you hear like the creaks and groans of the ship?
If you're on it, I don't see why you wouldn't. You're still in the atmosphere.
There's atmosphere on there, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying something here that may not... Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Are you attempting a jam?
Ah, damn, no, I'm attempting it, but they're seeing me. Damn it, okay. Let's lock on. I did not get to pull off exactly what I wanted, but... Get that laser targeted on them. Yeah, this is going to be a much bigger engagement than the last one because we both have similar size fleets.
Are those just
Arcs of flak, yes.
I love that. Oh, that's so cool.
We are getting way too close here. This is making our missiles very ineffective. Here. Oh my god. Decoys, go!
Is that flak trying to shoot down projectiles, or is that shooting
missiles?
At
shooting down the missiles.
Okay, yeah. Oh man, that rules.
It's one of the coolest looking parts of it. And now I'm launching some decoy missiles. This is my little green ones here.
So those are going to try to draw away some of those rockets?
Exactly.
Cool.
Just helping out all this flak. Okay. Come on, give me a burn through. Let's go. We're still targeted, right? Oh, God. Damn.
Oh, that's cool, Blade of Creation.
Alright, it's time to shoot some of my own missiles. I just feel like they're all going to get shot down at this range.
Missiles away.
Oh, I accidentally captured it. Whoops.
Oh.
Oh, dang it.
job.
Okay. So I'm going to...
You did too good.
I did too good. Here, I'm going to reload that. I'm going to get right back in there.
How are the missiles in this? Are they like Macross missile swarms, or are they like...
So I wanted to try to show that. I'll take more care to actually do that this time. Here, let me move my fleet so it's not going to accidentally be discovered. Okay.
Positioning.
Because the thing that's really fun is I can... missiles, there's different kinds of missiles in this game based on how they track enemies. And that also is sort of how you counter them. It depends on how you counter them. So I, in this, just have Thunderhead missiles. These are missiles that have their own guidance system in them. So as long as something is at the end of its missile run, it'll show this cone, and if there are enemies in that cone, it'll try to attack one.
Okay.
You can tell them to like attack this specific ship, and they'll try to go for that ship, but they might lose that track and go for another, or a decoy, or whatever. But I can actually, and I'll try to show what this looks like.
We're reading you.
I can fire it not at a specific person, but I can literally... let's see. Okay, this is tricky to do, but it's really cool if you get it to work.
Are you trying to shoot it around a corner?
Yes. So,
Oh.
one...
Yes, dude.
Okay. Two... Oop, okay. Yes. Boop. 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 And then timing-wise, where do I think they will be when the missiles arrive?
Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
I think this looks good. And
I
now,
see a little further. Yeah.
all right, let's send
Now-
16 missiles.
That's a lot of foxes.
I think they're gonna shoot them all down, but I'm gonna wait here for a sec
Okay.
because what I want to do is attack them from 2 directions at once. Okay, go.
Clear. Send traffic.
Oh, give me the move button. Go.
No, take us in.
Okay, those are away. Preparing missile solution.
Oh
All right,
boy.
second. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's see how my timing is. So yeah, they're arcing around. Oh fuck, where's the jamming? Get the jamming up.
Buzzers on. Blinding them.
Blinding them.
All right. So they don't know what's real and what's not right now. They probably got a lot of blips on the radar. Okay.
Yeah.
One missile down.
The thing is, I just know they like their combined missiles or missile countering is going to be very effective. Ooh, but I am getting 2 directions at once. With missiles, I feel like you either want to do an overwhelming amount or you want to try to do as much destruction first, like to weaken their defenses before going in with a missile barrage. I got one in there. I
good
got one
effect.
hit. It's tough to get any with an unharmed. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot. Ooh, baby.
Oh no.
There we
dude.
go. There we go. Bam.
Oh yeah. Nice.
Is that one gonna make it? Yes. And one
Yep.
more. Was that him? That was that him? Okay, that was a real good first engagement with missiles.
That was great.
We got, oh yeah, engagement completed. Out of 17 missiles, that got 5 hit, 1 miss, and 11 defeated. Not bad.
Standing by.
That was 1 of 2 missiles, so I don't know if...
Jamming us.
Oh fuck, get on evade. Alright,
Command, we are under fire.
well, it's time to meet him. Let's get out there.
Positioning. Reporting.
Move.
Component damage.
God, I'm glad I'm probably not gonna ever die in a boat.
Down spider. Aye, aye.
Sea battles are so fucking scary. Naval battles and shit.
No, I just was talking with my friend about this, and we're both trying to watch submarine movies lately.
Mm-hmm.
Missile warning.
It's fascinating, but it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Send traffic.
Okay.
I went down a
Just-
YouTube hole of watching not recreations, like I forget the name of the YouTube channel. There's a YouTube channel where a guy like does like
Aye, aye. Guide
motion graphic breakdown, top-down motion graphic breakdowns of like historical naval battles and field battles, like like stuff like based on like historical accounts, like going back hundreds or thousands of years or whatever. So I watched some of the stuff about some big naval battles from World War II, and they just horrifying,
Oh.
even from like
Yeah.
a top-down perspective. When you're like, and this ship was, forced to, everybody had to bail out, and you're like, oh, phew. It's like, now this ship, like, everybody died on it. And it's like, oh my god.
So a little thing with this, so I've got them on a course. I want them to cruise, just kind of gonna go a little bit right in front of this fleet because I want to get the maximum my guns to hit them. But I'm moving one direction, they're moving at me. This ship down here has one of the few what's called the spinal mounted weapons. It's got these 2 laser turrets actually. So I want him facing them. He would face them if I just told them to, but to prepare, because I knew I was going to like pop out behind this corner, I actually told him to just change his heading to just kind of always face this way. So he's always got his lasers sort of already aimed at them a bit. But
Are there
Alright, we're
any,
maintaining lock. This is good. This is good.
sustained like ray weapons in this?
I mean these spinal lasers are one, and there's another laser turret. It's sustained for like a couple seconds, like that. There we go.
Okay, yeah, okay, so it's like a stream. Okay, yep.
And then it has to charge up again. It's a useful weapon. It's one of the more short range weapons. Like I think this only good at 6,000 meters. You can see the range, and that's another thing. It's kind of fun when you see like it's inching down to the point where it's like, okay, we're in range. Go fire. Did I do it again? I did it again. I accidentally captured
you're
it.
too good.
Too good. But I wanted to start. I wanted to start a
You
match.
wanted to shard, okay.
No. I wanted to
Clayton wanted to shard everybody.
Yeah. I wanted to show what a fight starts from the beginning, not one of these things where I've set up a fight. I also wanted to really quick dive into the fleet editor so you can see what I was mentioning, where you can build your own.
Fleet.
So right now, the game, when it launched and until I recently discovered mods, there was just the sort of one fleet the game already has. The developers are, it's in early access. They're going to add, they've been hinting at it, the next fleet they're going to add. But this first one, it's very chunky, boxy ships. They often do this thing where the kind of design ethos in this game is they've got engines in the front to like brake and reverse on that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And these little thrusters all around are maneuvering thrusters. That's something else that's on your board of things that can be damaged. So you can have like your right-facing maneuvering thrusters damaged, and it takes much longer for your ship to like turn around and get a good target bearing. So it like there's so many things influencing it where it just matters when you go into battle. Like, okay, we maybe had an engagement, and then we both like, before we could finish each other off, hid behind some rocks, and you kind of have to like figure out, okay, this ship is okay on its starboard side. Let's flip it over. We can probably do a pretty good fighting with that. This guy, he's real damaged, but he's still got a bunch of missiles. Let's make sure we fire all those before it. Like, it's just, it's just fun to see all the complicated mechanics that at first seem overwhelming kind of like form into these potentials for strategy and ways to adapt, because it really gets into that kind of aspect of war. You have to fight with what you have.
And wait, so do you are the campaigns like sustained?
There's not a campaign yet, unfortunately. It's just skirmishes, but because they last long enough, and because there's this like you go in with what you have. It's not an RTS where you're building as you go. You just enter the level with a certain number of ships. You might have an engagement and just destroy each other and somebody wins, but you might have little fights and then like manage to like hide and regroup and try again, and so a match can take a little longer sometimes.
Nice.
So yeah, you can just do create from blank hole. All these ones up here are the ones that were kind of stock in the game. You've got a light cruiser, you've got the heavy. The Axford is one of my favorite. I like the heavy cruiser class. The Solomon, it's just too big. It's too slow and easy to hit, as much as it's very powerful. But I don't like the ones that are too small. I've seen very effective uses of them as like missile barges, just like stuff a ton of missiles into them. They're very small, maneuverable, could pop out, launch a ton of missiles at once, and pretty much be done. But I have downloaded some things. I did download a bunch of literal expanse ships, which I have not played with yet.
Yo.
Which is neat. I can make a Donager if I want. So yeah, let me start blank hole so I can bring in like an Axford, and see, this is a lot bigger. It's got all these components. Certain kinds of things can fit in certain components. So this is a turret. I could put a radar here. Be kind of a waste of this large turret spot. But these are my weapons. I can put a single turret, double turret cannon, or a railgun even on this little ship, or the kind of big ship. Or I could decide to make a giant missile barge and put that thing on there that can hold 64 missiles. Damn. And then, yeah, these little compartments are where you put the other things, like I was saying, auxiliary steering, or a very reinforced combat information center, or CIC. If you've watched Battlestar Galactica, that rings a bell. You need berthing for your crew, so as you add little things, they have crew requirements. So this requires 10 crew. As your crew costs increase, you have to have the berthing necessary to have that much of a crew complement. You have power requirements, so I've got a reactor. This size ship will probably need a second reactor in this spot. And if you still don't have enough space, you might need to add a micro reactor or a reactor booster or something. And that gets so tricky, because if you run your ship with like, I think even in just like commercial flight, the thing you want is redundancy. You want extra systems because you know some are going to break. So with the power requirements, you don't want to run your power like 90%. You want a ship that only needs maybe like 70 or 80%, maybe even less. Because if you're relying on a bunch of like little extra boosters, little generators and stuff, and one of those gets broken, then suddenly a bunch of stuff on your ship just does not work. And you can kind of control when you're on low power what you want to direct power to, but it's also a bit of like, you have to run certain systems. You have to run the stuff for your people to survive in the ship. You have to run steering and engines. So you might have engines but not guns.
Routing power to systems is such a fun sci-fi concept. Is that a thing that's from actual naval shit, or because on its face, the idea of building a ship that you don't have enough energy to power all of its systems is really funny.
It's not
Divert
just redundancy.
Shields to front.
Yeah, I think that's kind of strange. I've never understood why they don't have enough power to have full shields, but I think it's having read stuff with military sci-fi that gets into this nitty-gritty, even The Expanse a little bit. It's also about like, how does power get from one end to the other. So maybe you have two generators because if there's a certain wound in the middle of the ship, the power can't get to the front now, and it's a good thing you have an extra generator to power the stuff in the front. And you can even do little things that do stat boost. Like if you make a ship that's very focused on guns, you might want to put in a gun plotting center. You know, it only costs a little power, it just needs some crew. So these are all things you have to balance when you're building the ships. And I didn't even get into this at first because I was a little overwhelmed, but once you sort of understood how all the systems in the game work, it is like suddenly just this whole other toolbox. It's like, oh, I can really fine-tune my fleet to be like a missile fleet, or have a sensor boat that is like my little scout who does all the targeting for my big ships who don't want to bother with that. And then I also downloaded some other ships, so I've got some like other designs.
Ooh,
these
that's
are the
a cool
ones.
looking one.
Yeah, these are the ones I was just playing with actually in that thing I loaded up. And then what was the other one? There's one other. Oh no, this is who I was playing as. I was fighting those other ones, and I think these ones are also very cool. They have a very interesting style. I guess it's a little hard to see when they're semi-transparent, but this one's like a little knife.
That's a very cool looking ship.
But I'll go back to setting up a skirmish.
So there's no need for in space. Like if you were to build a battleship in space, you wouldn't have to have any concern about aerodynamics, right? But you would need to be concerned about like balance and like components like snapping off if they're not snugly like
I've always
right.
wondered that because I've looked at satellites, and I guess their engines are not very powerful, but they're so spindly, all these little things.
Right.
That's like, why doesn't that just snap off when the engine runs? But I think that's because it's of air resistance. And when there's no
Yeah.
air resistance in space, it doesn't matter that
There's
the
no
engine is
drag.
on this side and something's over here. It's not going to snap off. It's just all moving forward. I could be wrong on that. The thing that like the Expanse focuses on is as far as I'm going to try this other fleet. I may have built this fleet poorly because I wasn't playing as it, but we're going to find out. Let me just give myself...
Okay.
Points add up from the parts you build them with to kind of give you an idea of the balance. So in online, you would have to make a fleet that is like under 3,000 points, so you're not making like an overpowered fleet.
Gotcha.
So I'm gonna eliminate that. And make this. Let's see, who do I want to fight? We'll do a Hemlock. Okay. So I don't want to lose, so I'm giving myself a little extra points in this. No, not a
Treat
missile.
yourself.
Treat yourself. Actually, we'll do the one by a comet. That's cool. And let me make all my patterns look the same. I do wish it was a little easier sometimes to set up matches in this, but okay. And then what type of fight? So there's different kind of skirmishes you can do. Control means there's going to be a bunch of spots on the map that you try to capture.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing station capture. That's what those two I've shown y'all before. I don't actually know what tug of war is. So let's find out. And if it's... put a 45-minute timer on it. Alright, let's see what happens.
Paralabite with some space tech here saying one advantage to pulling everything into a big central mass is that you can armor it and it's easier to figure out how it will work or how thrust will work with it when advantage to spreading out so that it's easier to build and you might be able to use more heat radiators. Buildup is a real problem in space.
That's a thing you get. I remembered reading the Codex in Mass Effect. That actually had talked a lot about heat in space because like once they discovered
spent so much time reading that shit.
Yeah, I like their sci-fi universe. Once they discovered how to make like super good engines and everything and fusion reactors, whatever, the biggest issue was just so much heat on spaceships. It was like how good of a radiator could you make? And then I think the whole like Element X turned out to be a really good radiator or something, so they could also connect that to everything. ESO, yes. Yeah. Okay, so I think...
What was the whole thing with ESO was that if you put a positive current into it, it gained mass, and if you put a negative current into it, it lost mass?
I think it was basically that. It affected mass. Okay, so this looks kind of like point capture. But it was called Tug of War, so... you can also do this form with ship, which is handy, and that means he'll just stay in formation with this other ship, which makes it easier to manage your fleet. You don't have to control as many individual guys.
Cool.
I've got some allies, but it looks like we're gonna go for different spots.
Oh, do you have computer-controlled allies right now?
Yeah, I've got two helper fleets, and we're fighting one big bad fleet, and they've got one ally as well.
Ah, that's right. Blade of Creation says the Normandy stealth system worked by storing the ship's heat in special heat sinks rather than dissipating it.
That's
so
it.
Yeah, so then they would have to vent it occasionally.
Yeah, I guess the issue was that it was you had a huge heat signature when you released your heat. The designs in the Expanse, which I feel like this game is a little bit inspired by again, is also focused on gravity. In that whole thing, whenever you would go on any kind of journey from like one spot to another, you would be, your engine is behind you the whole time, and typically you might fly at 1 gravity, like the amount of speed that makes the ship effectively have 1 gravity, and then the whole ship is kind of like a flying skyscraper with the engine at the bottom, so that whatever deck you're on, gravity is down.
Oh, cool.
So that's, and then once you reach the midpoint of your destination, the ship spins around, and then does the braking burn the rest of the way. Again, 1 gravity worth of braking burn, and you'll come to a complete stop right at your destination, and you have gravity the whole way pretty much, as long as you have the fuel for it. But then, in the show, maybe this is a ship for people who aren't used to full gravity, so this ship only goes 1/3 G. Or maybe this is a military ship, everyone's trained for it, and this will go 2 G. And you just have to, like, endure heavy gravity for a long journey. But, so that's, like, one way to get around it.
In Hyperion, which is more space fantasy than sci-fi, they use what they call time debt, where I think we've talked about this on stream before. Just losing time is a part of space travel, but there are certain people. So in the 2nd or 3rd book, I think they introduced this. A thing that's introduced in the 1st book is a parasite that will like continue like bringing you back from the dead to the previous state that you were in when the parasite was inserted in you.
Whoa.
So they use that for ultra FTL travel, or like very, 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 very fast space travel. So when you begin this sort of space travel, they put you on a what do they call it? Not a carafe, they put you on a stainless steel bed, and then the acceleration just obliterates your body, and all of your biomass just gets like sucked down into this bed, and then you reform at your destination.
All right. So I have lucked into finding some of the enemy. Can't get
That's
a lock.
Right.
Can someone get me a damn lock? Ooh, they're gonna get me with some missiles. That's not good.
Uh-oh.
Ouch, ouch, ouch. I don't think my fleet has decoy missiles, which is an oversight. Wow, who am I fighting? I just want to know who I'm fighting. Phew. You totally can shoot your own ships accidentally. Like, again, bullets, missiles, they're real physical things in this and can hit the wrong thing. Oh, it's this fleet. This is going to be rough.
You're a Gundam fan. One Gundam thing that I still can't really rationalize is why you would use humanoid robots in space battles. It's like, I get it. It's that it's fun and it looks cool, but I can just like, I haven't heard an explanation that makes sense yet. Hey Gianni, thank you very much for that subby.
Oh, thank you.
The rule of cool. That's right.
The rule of cool. I know that there's the like in-world explanation of Minovsky particles as part of it. Not necessarily why they're humanoid, but so Minovsky particles are why you wouldn't have things like this in Gundam. You wouldn't have long-distance missile fights, is because Minovsky particles basically within a like very localized cloud around a ship. Beyond that, there's just no targeting, no scanning. You just can't see electronically. So you can't do long-range targeting missiles. You can't even do like railguns or lasers. You have to get in close. And then if you have to get in close, something that's super maneuverable is a much more dangerous thing than something that's slow and ponderous that's just carrying a giant gun that's no longer useful. So like it's a big deal in one of these, in at least in the New Century universe, or the Universal Century timeline. The first time a Gundam is used or a mobile suit is used against a normal fleet, it just devastates them because they're all built for like slow, ponderous spaceship combat, and it's just like they can't target it. It's moving so fast, it's flying around and killing them, and so there actually is a bit. I feel like they had to go back and do this later, but there is in Gundam, at least in Universal Century, a bit of a like this is a new leap forward in like military doctrine, and everyone's kind of adjusting to it. Oh shit, we got that guy eliminated. Nice.
Hell yeah.
I think I used my Titan missiles correctly for once.
Penguin asks when we're going to play Front Mission on stream. When's that remake coming out?
Oh, I don't know. I've never played one of those. I
neither.
definitely, that was the one where feel like I'm finally going to do it.
Those are like the tactics ones, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Oh, I saw that, I think, let me look it up. I think Deus Ex Machina. Was that what it was called? No, what was it called? Demon X. Yeah, Demon X Machina got a Steam release, which is, it's very anime, but I think it's mechanically very close to.
Oh, there we go. That's a
Core.
car. That was a core meltdown.
Ooh,
I don't think I was close enough, luckily. So that's what's causing all the interference. That's not jamming right now. Okay, I was luckily not close enough. But the Vivid Gator was, that was a little risky. So, that's what can happen if, in your damage screen, your reactor, wherever it is, gets damaged and you don't repair it fast enough. And it gives you a warning. It gives you a countdown to try to fix it. But a lot of times, as you can see, you can't. Or as you might have noticed, again, that guy I defeated, and he was dropping lifeboats. So he was in a bad spot and probably had no choice but to abandon ship. I was telling Pat about this story where I was playing this game.
Yes.
And this is the kind of thing where, again, just this is a sort of, you don't think of it as a systematic game, but I was just kind of like, I wonder if I can do this. I was in a big match with a bunch of AI in my own fleet. And after the initial engagement where we each lost ships, one of my ships, one of my bigger ships, had lost everything but its engines and reactor pretty much. So it was still moving, it just couldn't shoot anymore. And I just imagine my captain on that ship just turning to his men and is like, we haven't given up everything. We still have a reactor. We still have one big old bomb on this ship. It's been an honor serving with you. And I aimed it right at one of their ships whose engines were either broken or very weak and couldn't get away, but was still shooting. And I wanted to eliminate it. I had my ship ram into it, and it actually did physically hit it, and I was kind of surprised by that. I didn't know if it would just like pass through it or do some weird clipping, but it literally hit it, and I saw the other ship kind of roll a bit as it like collided. And then once, after a couple more seconds, they had shot my ship enough that the reactor started to go into meltdown. Instead of repairing, I told my people to abandon ship, which you can always do. You can always hit abandon ship. And after a minute, that ship blew up, and it took the other ship with it. And it was kind of amazing that it worked as a tactical move. But that's the kind of things you can do in this game.
You're only allowed one of those in the Space Navy.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're Space John McCain.
I did. Everybody abandoned ship. Again, in my imagining, the captain was like, "I'm not leaving this ship. I'm the last one on them." Oh, you get out of here! It's gonna blow! Okay, I think I have completely eliminated these guys, so I need to save some ammo. You actually do have to think about saving ammo, and it's not because, like, you would go into a fight without enough ammo, because you carry typically like thousands of rounds, maybe hundreds depending. The issue, though, is that you can very easily have your magazine exploded. Like, again, your magazine full of all your ammo is another thing on your ship, and that can get blown up, and you can lose a chunk of your ammo. So especially on big ships, you want multiple magazines throughout the ship so that at least a couple of them survive the battle. Okay, so I need to go help out at another location.
On the way, Commander. Standing by. Underway.
I wish I would have zoomed in and seen this, because I didn't pay close attention, but I think this guy's... Does this guy have him still? Oh no, it's not him. Is it you? Okay, so this missile, the mace, was something that's they added later, and like they didn't have it in when I played in like February when this came out. The missiles back then were these homing ones, the Thunderheads. There's also these ones that you paint enemies, like you have a guy literally like shine a light, kind of laser, and then those ones are very effective against jamming. Like, it's very hard to jam those because it's almost like a laser.
But you need visual contact for that?
But you need consistent visual contact for that. And the lantern targeting system, again, kind of like a jammer, has power. It can run like full blast for like a couple minutes, and then it has to shut down and recharge. You can battle short it. You can let it run and potentially hurt itself, but you also have to like time that where it's like, okay, get those missiles launched. You can maybe launch the missiles first, and they're like, okay, shine the laser. So you've got that, and then the other missile is a real tricky one that actually homes in on jamming. I haven't found the like time to use that one, but I could imagine it being a real fun rock paper scissors thing in like the meta of the online, where it's just like everyone expects jamming to help you stop missiles, but then this missile specifically homes in on jammers, so it's extremely effective if they're using jammers. The other... So, sorry, I was explaining. This new missile, the Mace, is just a gigantic, slow-moving missile that is intended, unlike all the other missiles, to be launched at close range, so you just don't have a lot of chance to shoot it down. But
what is it? Just too chunky to... It's a missile with HP?
So they all kind of have HP. Like, you can kind of watch as they come in. They can be hit. They can hit a couple hits of flak or lasers without necessarily blowing up. But those ones, I think, have more armor because they're big enough, but they're also slower moving. So if you shoot them from far away, they're going to get shot down. And that's why, unlike the other missiles, I don't think I have one of them on my ships, but there's a type of missile bay for that missile specifically that's kind of like aimed forward. So you can have your ship like bearing down on an enemy, and then when it's close enough, it's just like fire the mega missiles and hope they hit.
That's so cool. Blade asks, have you found it better to have jammers on each individual ship, or do you dedicate a whole ship as a EW platform?
On the way, Commander.
It really depends on the ship you're building. And I'm building these almost like making a fleet because I want to have a specific kind of skirmish. I do find that if I was to say I had a preference, it would be to have a little sensor boat, because I guess two things: sensor boat, but if you're going to have them on more than one ship, it's just you want to have a backup. But I think the benefit of having it on a little kind of sensor scouting jamming ship is that ship is meant to kind of either poke its head out and take a peek or hide behind the bigger ships and not get damaged. So you always have sensors, you always have targeting. And the big ships, you put a targeting radar on them, but you know it might get destroyed, and you just want to have some backup, something else that can give it a chance. Okay, so where's my other ship? Oh no, he's way over here. So we know the enemy is down at the bottom because the other allied fleet is completely destroyed down there. You can see all of the little blue dots are the their lifeboats. Oh no. Oh man, these guys. These are 2 big ships too. Okay.
The score
it's like-
is really good too. I'm just hearing that now.
Yeah, it's definitely the exact kind of pensive, moody, even sort of like threatening low music when you're just waiting. Because the start of these matches, especially if you don't make these the kind with like capture points, like if sometimes I just play Annihilation, it's just this slow, tense build up to like where are they? You're just like I gotta find them because you don't want to be the one who gets like snuck up on, or you have bad positioning. So it's a little cat and mouse at the beginning, and then this big epic music starts up once you get into combat. Okay, so they're capturing at point B. So I'm gonna follow my ally down there, and we're gonna try to fight them. I am a little worried that this might take a little long to get down there, but what time is it? Oh, it's 4:05. You know what? Yeah, we'll try to wrap this one up, and then maybe sneak another match in. Thing is, I know this fleet we're going to counter is pretty powerful. And only my smallest ship is really having a rough time. Ooh, I should totally be repairing some stuff. Oh shit, cancel that.
Belay that.
Belay that order. Exactly. I am glad I did because I had a broken missile launcher that's got 24 birds in it. So let's repair that and get this thing back in the fight.
Target lost. Spotted. Send traffic. Send traffic.
Whoa. I don't know if that's a glitch.
You have a system down, so you're not getting diagnostics.
Yeah, this is also modded ships, so I know it could just be a weird UI
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, it's not showing me anything on that ship.
This is making me want to give another shot to Battlefleet Gothic, which I've heard is a fantastic one of these.
Waiting for your orders, Commander.
Yeah, and I do want to give that one a try too, because as much as it was not 3D space, like you were saying, I did like the fact that you gotta focus on where and how you fired, and it made that's kind of stuff important, because that's another fun aspect of it, like commanding a big old battleship.
What's your favorite what's your favorite like space dogfight, or your favorite space naval battle from like a movie?
Oh fuck, that's tough.
or a show?
You know what? No, I know the exact one. And it's the Battle of New Caprica from Battlestar Galactica.
I loved what BSG did with its space fighters.
It's not just the space fighters, which are it's fucking great. It's like just a big space aircraft carrier, and it does do. We were talking about it earlier. It does do the conservation of inertia, I guess. So you have ships like doing that thing where they fly forward, pivot, and can shoot behind them while still moving forward.
So good. Yeah.
But the Battle of Caprica was great because they build up to it for like a whole episode. Like I said, I remember that was a 2-part episode. so you know a big battle's coming, but you don't know their exact tactics. They've just been like hinting at them and practicing things. And then the fucking episode, there's a reason they call something in that the Adama maneuver, because they invented a like tactical maneuver in the battle. It's so Battlestar Galactica is a world where you can do faster than light jumps, so you kind of just like pop in existence and pop out of existence somewhere else. It's that kind of hyperspace. It's not Star Wars go real fast. So, having done nothing like this the entire series so far, they fucking warp the Galactica in atmosphere. And it just drops like a stone. And it's the coolest looking thing. And it's just like, okay, we have 2 minutes before we hit the surface of the planet. Launch as many fighters as you can, and then warp out. And the music's fucking going, and there's fire burning under it as you see it falling through. Bear McCreary's hitting his drums real hard. They do the same shot where the little Viper's going down the tube, which you've seen 100 times in this show, but this time it goes through fire because it's like the atmosphere is running past it. So they did all these things to make it just like that much more hype. And then, you know, as you see it to the people on the surface who it's coming there to save, like right before it's about to just fall on them all, it pops out of existence, and there's a huge like thunderclap as like all the air like
Right,
so
I
like
gotta rewatch that.
They fucking nailed all the science of it, so it's just the fucking. I was out of my seat. I remember when I watched it live, I was just like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Titus says the mission status sick image was pretty much made for that sequence.
Exactly.
Charlie Bite says, remembering a Star Wars expanded universe novel where somebody does the Porkins maneuver.
Yes.
My assumption is that it was flying in a straight line while a TIE fighter blows you up, because that's all Porkins ever does. Yeah. Rip Porkins.
Rip Porkins. Okay. Oh, come on. I want these guys to fight me. I don't want to just win this by taking the location.
Trying to think of some other good
Aye, aye. Proceeding.
base. I did enjoy the
Yeah.
I think it was either The Last Jedi or the most recent Star Wars movie had the bombing run where they're like trying to
Oh
get
yeah, the Last Jedi. Yeah.
yeah
Yeah,
That
it
was
didn't.
fun.
It was the kind of thing where it's like, part of me is like, this makes no sense. I don't. Why is there
Yeah.
gravity in space? But
Absolutely no
why do they?
sense, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, this fucking like this is a World War II movie again, just trying to drop
Yeah.
bombs.
trying to get the B2 over the target.
Which also reminds me that like Rogue One, honestly, had one of the better Star Wars
Aye, aye, Commander.
spaceship fights in a long time. It's got that
Rogue
little
One was
like
fun.
that little ship that just like crashes into a Star Destroyer and makes it crash into another one, which
Yep.
again is like silly, but it was just so, I don't know, it was well done that I really fucking enjoyed it.
Sharkosaur, yeah, and Ryan, the Haldo maneuver. That was the one where they cut.
Yep.
They went hyperlight through a Star Destroyer.
Yeah, which I wouldn't call like I guess that whole movie's kind of one big battle, but the Holdo maneuver is sick. And I am the kind of nerd who has read all the people who are like, this makes no sense. Why would they just be doing this all the time? And there's like a couple reasons. Number one, the rebellion doesn't want to waste ships. Number two, it's obvious you need a heavy ship to do it. It doesn't matter if an
Right.
X-wing does it. It had to be a huge fucking ship. Three, you would probably need a lot of time and accuracy to do it. So there was some luck involved. But if you look at the sequence, they literally say, ignore shooting at that big ship, shoot the people running away. Ignore the big ship, shoot the little ones. That's why she's able to turn around and do this ponderous maneuver, because they were, again, it's the theme of the movie, a little bit of the theme of the movie, they were being cocky. They didn't think she was a threat. They didn't think they had to care about that ship. They thought it was running away. So it's as much about the theme of it, but if you want to get into the sci-fi nitty-gritty, there's totally a reason why the Hondo maneuver is such a special, rare thing. Okay, we're hopefully about to encounter them. They should be around here. Where'd they go?
Set traffic. Aye, aye. Proceeding.
They're sneaky.
They're
running
being
away
sneaky. They
from
probably ran up the other side.
Yeah, the BSG like momentum thing was such a game changer for space dogfights, just because it was like Lucas when he would do the Star Wars stuff, he'd always have to like put it in a like a contained environment, like the trench or like an asteroid or something. So you
yeah,
have something
so
to like swerve around, so it's not just people sort of chasing each other's tails in a big circle in deep space. But like just having the momentum thing in there is so fun, where you can just like just fucking pull an
On the way, Commander.
space fighter.
yeah, just do some drifting in space.
Philip says the first show I ever saw that did point defense in space well was surprisingly SG-1. Huh. What was the app? Oh, the human starship has about 60 seconds of ammo. Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah. Somebody brought up Babylon 5, which I hadn't. I watched the whole show this summer. Caught up on that one, and it actually does have a couple big space battles that are pretty fun, if a little ridiculous. But it's also from that era when CGI was just not ready. It's just so jarring from these like practical sets that show is, and even like in the cockpit, and then just like fucking 1999 screensaver CGI. It's just painful. But you could tell that they were trying to go for something a little bit more like Galactica, and maybe Stargate. But I remember some of the spaceships, even the military ones, having to have like spinning stuff on them so they'd have gravity. So they were trying to do some things realistically.
Yeah, that's always a really interesting thing in space sci-fi is what direction they go with justifying gravity on their ships. Whether or not they decide to do the spinning thing, or whether they just say, no, we have a gravity generator. It
Exactly.
just works. Alien surprise, like Alien is one of those ones where it's just straight up, just like they have a gravity button on the
Yep.
ship.
Turn on the gravity, please. This series of military sci-fi that also reminds me somewhat of this, called the Honor Harrington novels. They do something where they take that and they go a little bit more with it. Again, maybe even thinking like how this game thinks of it, where you have the like gravity thing on your ship, but almost more important, you have the inertial dampeners. I think that's what they call them, inertial dampeners. So just the fact you have a ship that can go like 600 times the speed of light, great. Unless you're accelerating like incredibly slowly, everybody inside that ship is just going to be turned to paste. So you need something that literally stops inertia from happening within the confines of your spaceship. But the show, or that book series, at least is detailed enough about it that it's a component on the ship. And it talks about like one of the worst things that can happen on your ship is if it's in a fight and they just get a real lucky shot in and it blows up your inertial compensator, because then everyone on that ship is paced.
Oh, that's so nasty.
So it's
but
just
it's also really good.
And again, that's also why you have redundant inertial dampeners, because you don't want to have just be relying on the one. Okay,
I gotta go back and give The Expanse another shot.
I definitely super enjoyed that series and enjoyed reading. Oh my god, you're there. Okay, this is frustrating me. I'm gonna load up, I think, a new match, because now they're at C. I don't want to keep chasing them. I want to fight. I want to just see if this is interesting. This game I have saved in here. Oh gosh, they you can see that from The Expanse.
Jesus, Titus.
Yeah.
Chunky salsa.
Is this? Which one is this? No, this is not near a fight. Summer. The Expanse is great for how it puts things in a kind of hard sci-fi universe, and I won't say exactly how, but it starts unraveling that, or playing with those rules it's established, which are often real rules of how science works, and then being like, okay, what if you could break this one rule of science?
Cool.
and it's very fun with how that slowly unravels. Okay. Ooh, we got some enemies right there. Let's go.
It also has that lady with the fucking awesome voice who's been getting a lot of voiceover work lately. What's her name?
I'll bet it's the person who's Kamina drummer.
Repositioning.
I'm the kind of I'm a Puritan about. I think the books are better. Also, if you want to get the complete story, that's the only way right now. Unfortunately, if you the season, there won't. At least right now, they're not going to do the final 3 books. But the final 3 books are where it fucking goes like. I don't want to say what kind of sci-fi, but it adds in another kind of element to the universe that still feels grounded amazingly, but it's just I'm so mad that that stuff's not going to get to be seen in the TV show.
Mm. Yes, I'm thinking of Shora.
Course laid in.
Oh yes, okay, she's great because not only is she one of the best versions of a character in the book brought to life, she's great in the books, that character, but she does such a good job making that character real. Like I have no complaints there, except that she couldn't curse until the seasons that weren't on Sci-Fi.
Ah, okay.
She's
I would love to see a movie where her and Ralph Ineson just talk at each other.
Orders.
That's right. That's what I was thinking of. Blade of Creation. Should be the trailer for that Civ game.
Got him in our sights. Sorry, Commander, that's too far.
So this is a fleet where I have a little ally who's got, I mentioned it, like small ships that have a bunch of missiles.
Mm-hmm.
These are specifically destroyers, which I actually do like because they can do the spinal mount weapon. And so these guys all have a pretty powerful laser, even though they're a small ship. So this is when you can have 3 ships pumping out missiles, because even if you have one ship that just has a huge battery of missiles, you actually are limited by how fast you can launch them and how many tubes you have. And there are upgrades you can add to a ship so it can literally launch more at once or reload quicker. But that's just like another logistic you have to think about, and why a fleet with a bunch of little missile boats can almost be more effective than just one big missile dreadnought.
We're taking fire. Receiving.
Why are you rolling? What are we firing here? Oh, we're a high explosive. Okay, that's good. Alright, I'm seeing lifeboats. 1 down.
Yeah, Ryan. The spikies are missiles. The diagonal crosses.
Yeah, I can try to
are
zoom
all
in so you can actually
missiles.
see that there is a missile there. Ooh, yep, blown up.
Ooh.
These guys will fly right past me. It is. I can understand, like, watching, you do just end up seeing a lot of icons unless you really zoom up on things, but I don't know how else you could parse things. I do wish there was a way for, like, a cinematic camera and I could just turn them off, but yeah, those red ones are fast
Blade,
movers.
Clayton
We got
actually
'em.
showed us Clayton showed us at the top of the stream that if you target a lifeboat, the terminal operator will double check your order and be like, "Hey, I think my headset's malfunctioning here. Can you say again?" But I guess you can do it, but I think they don't want you to.
No, and if you do, they're just like, "You monster." Alright, yeah, we're just gonna chew them up. No problem.
Nice.
But I have to imagine this guy's got another ship somewhere.
They've zeroed us in.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I forgot about
There you
this. Squares are estimates of where an enemy is. Diamonds are confirmed targets. And again, that's important because with a distant one, you can still kind of do a lock and shoot at it. It's just much less accurate because it's kind of making an estimate of where it thinks the ship is. Okay. Yeah, I think this. This was a piece of cake. I just don't want to wait to fight more ships. Let's try... Okay, what do we have? We have 40 minutes. I'm going to go back to this one that I kept accidentally winning.
Doing too good.
Yeah, and try to actually finish this battle because it's the most even of all these things I have set up. God, I want to get that really badass missile attack again now.
Yeah, that was good.
Let's try to set that up again.
Aye, aye, over. Aye, aye, over.
You go up there.
Repositioning.
And I'm going to make sure you're not in the space where I'd automatically win. So this is the orbit maneuver, where I tell it to go to a spot and then make an orbit
Oh, cool.
and just kind of stay there. So I'm going to tell it to kind of enter this and exit it, essentially. So that'll keep the AI annoyed because I'm capturing it every once in a while, but I shouldn't just outright win it. But I also...
You're just going to have your spaceship do donuts in their front yard?
Essentially, yes.
Cool.
The UNS Ineptuk. This game has a when you're in the shipbuilding mode, you can give things a random name, and I feel like it has a very particular style of spaceship name. Where you get some very weird ones, and sometimes you can just get people's names like this.
Ready.
And then sometimes you just get one letter like nouns. Okay, so and I will spring my trap.
Aye, aye, over.
I'm not sure why you're facing up like that. I don't like it.
We're reading you.
Let's get your heading that way.
Go ahead, command.
Preserve your heading that way. Okay, so okay, they're getting close now. I think I can start.
Orders.
I just want to make sure
We hear you, command.
when I'm distracted. I'm just going to make sure. Just a little bit. Okay, that's better. Missile time.
Right, sure.
Alright, okay. Check twice, fire once.
Preparing to launch.
Preparing to launch. Alright,
Standing by.
get a weapon solution in. Okay. Started firing. Okay. Go, go, go. Get jamming in.
Jamming your target.
Oof, that was a little late, but I think we'll be okay.
Receiving.
Remember the part in Spaceballs when they jam his radar by shooting an actual jar of jam
Yes,
at
I do. And they comb the actual desert with a giant comb.
it?
I don't know why that particular joke always stood out to me, but a couple decoys because I know they're going to launch a bunch of missiles at me right when I come around the corner.
Under fire.
Let's get a lock. Get me a lock.
Enemy is
Okay,
jamming us.
let's go. Let's go.
Force laid in. Heads up, they're jamming us.
Ooh, go.
Ooh.
Stop sitting there.
Looks like we're being jammed. Our sensors are going haywire.
Yeah, they are.
Missile warning.
Ooh, that's the visual noise of that is very cool.
Okay, get evade on. Oh yeah, he's literally going for my. Okay, that was great.
Orders. I can't see it.
That's so many missiles. Fuck.
They're going haywire. They got a buzzer out there. Standing by. We're being jammed. Cannot comply. Enemy is jamming
Get
us.
me a burn through.
Understood.
Go.
Looks like we're being jammed. Enemy is jamming us. Aye, aye. Sensors are going haywire. We are securing the objective. Being jammed. We're starting sifting protocols.
Come on, get me a lock.
Missile inbound. We have you loud and clear. Our sensors are going haywire. More out. Jammed. Heads up, they're jamming us. We've lost our
Oh my
sensor.
god, this screen is just so good.
It just goes crazy. Actually, this is a kind of a helpful thing when you hit the jammer in tactical mode. It's a lot, but those circles are where a missile is coming towards me, so I can kind of I can get bearings that way. This is a lot of noise right now, and it's meant to be, but
Component destroyed.
oh,
Enemy is jamming us. Negative. Being jammed. We're starting sifting protocols.
are we? What are we shooting at?
Commander.
I feel like I've just been
Do that.
reacting slowly as I wait for.
The bastard. Got an inbound missile.
Oh gosh, they get all like. I also like the voice chatter literally gets more like desperate in the heat of battle when they're like taking hits. Like,
Standing by. Yeah, we've got him now.
are we locked? Let's get locked. Okay.
We're losing components.
No, give me.
Components.
Yeah, Ryan, get me in the booth there, and I'll just record that same line just with escalating levels of annoyance.
They're locking on.
Still jammed. Yep, jammed. Yeah, I said we're jammed.
Launch authorized.
I'll do that when we're not jammed.
They're blinding us.
I know they're blinding
Enemy
us.
missiles.
Get me more jamming.
Enemy E-war is active. Component destroyed. Component destroyed.
Is are your engines broken? Is that what's going on?
Aye, aye.
It just says degraded. Why aren't you moving?
Enemy is jamming us.
I'm not sure what's happening here.
Missile stockpile. Low. Negative. Enemy E-war is active. Firing control clear.
Well, I'm getting lots and lots of missile hits, so that's good.
Sifting protocols. Being jammed. We're starting sifting protocols. Aye, aye. Spiker in the scope. Orders.
What's a spiker?
I think it's a kind of missile.
Lost our sensors.
It's like it's like from The Expanse, but whenever a missile came on the screen, they just say "fast movers on the board."
Sensors.
So that's always like what I'm hearing in my head. Okay, that ship looks. So there's another thing. Intel, like it literally says there, Intel pending. That would tell me like if I actually had the Intel, and that can depend on what components you build in your ship. It would tell me that that thing is like 60% damaged or 40% or like not under command or. So I could actually know like I can stop shooting at that guy if I had information. I'm just gonna make an assumption. Oh, like this guy, I actually have condition 81%. So I can start shooting him and wipe him off the board. I'm gonna save the biggest, baddest ship for last.
Clear to fire. Out with it. Keep firing.
Keep firing.
We can't, Commander.
Okay, now I have to be careful again. I've wandered too close. I'm gonna start winning again.
On it.
Can't
you
have
want to play
that.
with your food.
We're taking damage.
Okay, you're out of missiles, so that's okay. Let's make sure. Let's go the other way.
We're losing components.
Oh, you can shoot. Yeah, you can help. You can shoot this guy.
We're losing components.
Maybe.
Tracking missile.
Okay. Why can't we get intel on that guy?
We can't see anything.
That thing's gotta
Drone
be.
deployed.
Alright, we're gonna get real close. This is close quarters combat.
Buzzer.
I wish I had some of those
Get in
big
there.
missiles.
Boredom.
We need power now.
I wonder if that's a thing. I could totally see them adding a boarding
Enemy buzzer.
mechanic to this.
Lost our sensors.
Like, how
Um,
would it have to be like a traumatic breach? Like,
Yeah, that's again.
your
another thing
guys
they could
go in spacesuits?
totally get this from The Expanse because there's something that happens in that show. But you essentially make a tiny box with a rocket on it that can not get shot down, get close to their ship, and then once it's on the ship, it might just have a side of it that like clamps on magnetically, maybe shoots it with like a cable, and then yeah, you're just cutting in and boarding with a bunch of Marines, Space Marines. That happens a couple times in the Expanse series.
That sounds like I wouldn't want to be on the ship that was potentially about to blow the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's again, they came up with a pretty simple doctrine for that, and it's something that I think a lot of sci-fi kind of borrows this, which is the rule for capturing a spaceship is to capture the reactor or
They're zeroing us.
the helm, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because you want to stop the people whose ship it is from blowing it up. And those are the two
Oh.
places you can blow it up from, is from the captain's
Yeah.
seat or from the generator itself. So you have to get to those two places as fast as you can and prevent them from doing that.
Component destroyed.
There was a game years ago. God, it could have been anywhere from like 5 to 10 years ago now that was just about boarding spaceships. It looked sick.
I don't know
It's like
how
a
this ship
top-down-
is still flying.
Oh my god, yeah, that's a
It's
lot of
got
that's a lot
no
of orange and red.
reactors. It's got one microreactor powering the whole thing right now. But somehow its thrusters are still okay because the drive is running. It's on fire though.
Sark, no, it wasn't FTL. It was much more fast paced. It was like real time. It was almost like vector graphics.
It was
Heat
kind of a
signature.
yeah,
That's the one, Titus.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me look that up.
Losing components.
That was just like the moment you breached, and then you had to figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah.
Guidance online.
Oh my god.
Heads up, they're jamming us. Looks like we're being
Yeah, same people who made Gunpoint.
jammed. We're starting safety protocols.
In Warhammer, they just fucking run the ships into each other. I think there are specific
I-
boarding craft too. but,
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say I remember that part of that game being one of the coolest parts. It's just like battering ram. Oh no. UNS show, you gotta get out of there. You're too close. You're gonna get hit by my own missiles. No. Okay, he's okay now. Yeah, this is some close combat.
Missile.
Who are you shooting at still? Oh, don't shoot at that. That thing's dead.
We'll get it done.
Waste. What a waste.
We're being targeted.
UNS Brandy Kale. Come around. We've only got one ship left.
Knock him out. Awaiting your order, Commander.
Oh no, he's gonna try to blow up my little scout ship. Probably will do it too.
Yes,
Are
Commander.
you in evade? So that's again, you have all these like choices you can make. Commissions control, because actually, again, communication signatures make you more obvious on radar, so you can like balance these things if you want. you can, I think I mentioned, you can make the throttle actually go so high that it can hurt your engines.
I would love to see that once
So it's
before we end the stream.
you don't, I mean, you don't see much. You just like literally up here, your speed goes higher than normal and you move faster, but
Gotcha.
the damage is the same kind of damage you'd see here. It just it starts ticking down even though you're not being attacked. Um,
Knock him out.
got some missiles. Let's just fire them all. I don't care if it's too close.
Clear.
I haven't read that, Fox Hollow. Have you read Three Body Problem, Clayton?
Yes, I read the first one, and I am curious. It's one of those series where it's like, oh yeah, that was a good book. I should pick up the others. It's one of those things where it's like the existential dread of how incredibly advanced any aliens with faster than light travel would be.
We've lost a component.
I think is maybe the TLDR version of it. But the particularly like freaky thing that happens in that is essentially some aliens are capable of rewriting the laws of physics in a way that just doesn't affect our day-to-day life, but makes it so that physicists like around the world are just like, science doesn't work anymore. Like we're not getting like any more information about from our particle accelerators. Like nothing is happening how we expect, and it doesn't make any sense to essentially stop technological progress. But it's just like, if an alien species was that advanced that they could just fuck with you that way and just be like, physics don't work now, what are you gonna do? Like, what do you even do?
Yeah.
We've lost a component.
Game.
Yeah, I guess
I
game.
get- but what if they broke our gaming consoles?
Weirdly, video games are like a part of that book, that novel too. I won't get into exactly how, but
We're getting low on power. Make it quick.
this guy is not gonna last much longer.
Not related to smart person sci-fi, but related to big gigantic spaceships. Are you familiar with the Warhammer concept of a space Hulk?
No, I don't think so.
So I think the short version is that, so FTL travel in the Warhammer 40k universe involves passing through the warp, which is a very dangerous realm of being.
Right,
And
yes, I know
sometimes
that.
if a ship gets lost in the warp, it might end up getting fused to another ship. And so lost ships, essentially a space Hulk is just like a massive ghost spaceship made out of a bunch of spaceships just fucking jammed and fused together in the warp. Yeah, like up to 100 ships.
We're being targeted.
I actually didn't give this ship credit. It's got 2 guns still firing. It can get back in the fight. They're just its ass cannons, though.
Blow them up. Take them out.
I actually did. I did 2 things besides a lot of normal holiday stuff.
Lock on warning.
I played a ton of Vampire Survivors.
Good
But
call.
I also read a whole bunch of the Wikipedia, and especially the Warhammer Wikipedia, about, like, the Emperor.
God,
and-
it's such a fun Wikipedia hole to go
Yeah,
down.
and like, because then you're just like, and then he signed a treaty with the Manicarium of Mars, and it's like the what?
Mechanicum.
The Mechanicum. And then now
Yes.
I understand what the Mechanicum is, how they have a little bit more leeway and independence within the Empire. They're almost an empire within the Empire.
Right.
The tech priests,
Because they make the stuff work.
because they make his empire work. Yeah.
They're
I
his
also-
IT guys, essentially.
Yeah, that's. I also finally understood like what his whole deal was, and it's just like, okay, wow, this is more in depth than I expected it to be, but also the
Much
whole
dumber.
aspect much dumber, and the whole aspect of it, like he's actually kind of dead,
Yeah,
Sort
oh,
of,
that
he's
part's
like-
cool.
vegetative state, but his mind is how they use FTL, and I just love that it's like,
Yeah, he all of his psychic power is just concentrated on creating a fixed beacon in space so people can know where things are. in
and travel
space.
through the warp still.
I like the idea of
We've lost the target.
certain like Warhammer is one of those things where I've sort of thought about it.
Going on here.
In-
He's crashing into the space station.
One of the things I like about, or I don't like, one of the things that's interesting about Warhammer to me is like, it's a franchise in a world that's been like handled by like so many authors that it's
Yeah.
like even I think with the best efforts to keep it all logistically and thematically consistent, it wouldn't work, right? Like
No.
in theory, it is supposed to be, you know, what's the word? Satire.
Mhm.
But like, it's also just big enough and been handed out to enough people that like I think a lot of the people who write about the Space Marines just think the Space Marines are really fucking cool.
Unfortunately.
But like one of the OG authors was writing about how he likes to think of in his head like the Emperor is dead, right? Like because the world is so much funnier and sadder and more ironic if everything that's going on around the Emperor is just a bunch of people just like worshiping a corpse.
It's the perfect metaphor for the like sclerotic bureaucracy and elites continuing on even after the empire itself is long dead. Because it's like a fall of the Roman Empire kind of allegory too, isn't it?
I don't know exactly. Like he does get betrayed by, he gets knifed by one of his buddies or one of his kids
Well,
technically.
I guess even into the sense of this is actually a civilization that is past its peak and is just kind of like
It's completely stagnant.
moving forward almost of a like not even of its own accord practically. It's just like, and it's such a, I don't know, it was more metaphorical than I expected to kind of make me understand like why is it so fucked up and not changing. And it's like, oh right, because they have a dead god that they feel like they have to continue listening to.
And it's like in the early Horus Heresy books, it's even like, it's interesting.
Oh my
like
god.
those take place in like the 30th century, 31st millennium, and one of the times that Horus gets the most angry and like just like enraged is when they encounter a civilization that is able to produce technology that looks like nearly as good as theirs, and it's like it's just like this, it is this living heresy. It's this proof that like the empire that they're out there like trying to sell everybody, incorporate everyone into, is not the best thing in the world. So he just gets fucking pissed off. And
Okay,
I think
yeah.
they kill them.
Because I didn't actually read to that part. It was like one of the mini chapters. It was like, here's the Golden Age or whatever, the Age of Strife.
Yeah.
I saw that one, the Horus Heresy, and I know it's brought up a lot, and that's very funny that that's literally like they can't. Because yeah, I guess there's one of the earlier stages, the sort of stage of technology where they blame the collapse of society on technology and science, in effect, considering that age of technological supremacy is an age of darkness, which leads into the Age of Strife, I think.
See, now you're beyond me. I haven't read that part of the wiki.
Yeah.
Can't see him anymore. Holding fire.
There's also a very funny chapter in the Horus Heresy that's just like a detailed summary of like a several months long engagement on a planet called Murder, where
Great.
they land and they discover these like really advanced like
Target's off the screen.
arachnid, this civilization of like really advanced like arachnids.
Yeah.
And the planet's like surrounded by beacons before they get there that they don't interpret. They just like land on the planet and they're like, and they get killed by some of these bugs. So then they spent an incredible amount of effort just killing all the bugs on this planet. And then that civilization they come in contact later, who they end up like doing a bunch of really bad stuff to. They're like, wait, did you just go past our beacons? That was like a game like that was like. That was an endangered species, and we set up that planet so that they could continue existing.
No.
And then we're just like, whoopsie.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Anyway, sorry. How's your space battle going?
I accidentally had a guy on a path. He was leaving the area, so I had to turn him around. Was not paying attention, but I've got this one in the bag. Go flanking.
Executing.
Battle short. I don't care anymore.
Receiving. Acknowledged. On it.
Yeah, spaceships. So I guess I didn't even talk much about. You can get this game on Steam. It's very much a PC game. You need mouse and
Is
keyboard.
it early access right now?
It's early access, but I was into it right off the bat because it's my kind of shit. Since then, though, they have added quite a. They've like worked out some of the bugs. They added some things where like 3D space is a little weird. So when you have like this, it was hard to make it like, how do I get to the other side of the sphere? And they added a little thing with just pressing the control button, and you can pop it either side of the ship. But that used to be kind of like weird. So they just made it, despite how still intimidatingly complex it looks, they've made it a little bit easier. There's also modding, which is why I'm able to use this kind of spaceship. Like if you've been playing the game, I only just discovered this week, but now I get to play with more little spaceship Legos and build new spaceship holes. I wouldn't be surprised if this is in the Steam sale right now. I guess I can check.
Let me take
that.
a look for you.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
It's not, as far as I know, I think the developer, this is kind of like the thing, sort of the first thing they made. And it's unique. Like it's definitely has some elements that remind me of the big daddy of 3D space games, RTSs, Homeworld. But it's in some ways more granular than Homeworld. It lets you do specific kind of fleet engagements in ways that even Homeworld wouldn't let you do. You definitely didn't have as much complexity in the ships themselves and what can be damaged and what components are in them. I mean, you couldn't customize them. So that's really neat. And as I understand it, I have not done this yet, but the online is very fun, especially if you get involved on the Discord for this game.
Oh, cool.
The official Discord, people there are apparently very friendly about setting up matches with beginners, you know, and they'll even do like, you know, 2v1 to let you sort of get the ropes. And if you get to do all this kind of the cool stuff of like coordinating and trying to maybe do a feint or a
That
you
sounds really fun. I might pick this up.
distractions and stuff.
The Steam sale scoop on this is right now. This game is only $20 because it is an early access, and it's not fully featured yet. It's $20. It's on Steam sale right now for $16, and there is a free demo.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know there's a demo. Yeah, definitely check out the demo if you're just curious, which I hope includes the tutorial. I'll admit, it's a 6-part tutorial because it's got to let you understand all the little nuances of this so they all fit together. But it's a good tutorial. It's like done with kind of in-universe voices, like you're getting your training from a TACCOM officer, and it's pretty well voice acted. Like for an indie game, I was not expecting that. And yeah, that'll get your sea legs, I guess. That should get your space legs.
We need space legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I just downloaded it. We should play multiplayer sometime.
Yeah, if you can get a handle on it, I would love to give that a shot. And I've watched YouTube videos of people playing this, and like, I will take a look at that because I've seen some other of these kind of games. People trying to make stuff like this.
Oh yeah, that is a fucking cylinder ship.
That is a fucking cylinder. And yeah, it's in early access. The developers have talked about they're going to add another faction essentially to the game. Right now, the game only comes with its one faction, unless you download others with mods. And they're going to have a campaign, but that stuff is all what they want to have come later once they've got the like, I guess, nitty gritty, bare bones stuff all figured out.
Oh my god, what? Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm looking at navigate orbital mechanics. I'm trying to figure out if this is just orbital mechanics or if this person is shooting flechettes and calculating the vectors so that they arc around planets and hit their target. Is that what's going on here in this game, Trilobite? Are you firing your projectiles to try to get them to arc around planets and gravity wells to hit your targets?
Man, it sounds like it. All right. I actually need to take care of something here, so I might wrap this up a little early.
Okie dokie.
But we appreciate y'all joining us on a Thursday here in the weird week of the year where everything's done, but it's also not quite. We'll be back next week. We're not doing streaming tomorrow, right? I'm not in tomorrow.
No, yeah.
Okay.
No stream tomorrow. Hey, and that was 20 streams for
gosh.
Streamsgiving. We did it.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all.
We'll be back soon.
See ya real soon. All right. Bye.